So the Sokito Scudetta has been one of the most hyped boots over the last year, I would say, especially in the speed boot category. I've heard tons of people talking about them. Everybody who does reviews on them seems to really like them. And this will be a 1 month review as I've been wearing them over the last month, and I feel like I've finally gotten a really good idea on what exactly this boot is. So Sokito has moved into the recycled boot world, is the easiest way to put it. Most of the materials in the Scudetta are recycled material. I believe of everything, it is corn waste, bamboo, sugarcane, recycled plastics. I think maybe some other recycled boots potentially, castor beans. A bunch of things go into making this boot, so that's pretty cool that they're taking an actual stand instead of just doing like a silo or two on this. I know Adidas collabed with Parley in the past, and Parley's like a whole reuse, recycle company with plastics in the ocean and whatnot, and then Nike has started to implement recycled materials as well. Now that being said, you cannot really tell that this boot is mostly recycled material, which I do like. One thing I was worried about is this boot would degrade pretty quickly being made up of a ton of biomaterials, and it really didn't. It held pretty strong so far over the last month, which is pretty cool. Another interesting fact about this brand, it is actually owned by, I want to say 60 plus professional footballers, soccer players, whatever you want to call them, around the world, from the US, England, Canada, and the rest of Europe potentially. And I think that's really cool. It's owned by professional footballers. From speaking with their owner a little bit, they really want to grow this as organically as possible and the right way, not just trying to make as much money as possible. So I think that's really, really cool. And it's kind of backed by their business model, just with all these professional players wearing and backing their product. Now, this pair was sent out to me, so big thanks to Sokito. They're not actually in this box, they're right over there, but I just wanted to showcase how cool this box is. I'm fairly certain it's made of recycled materials as well. It's kind of a different style than you normally see. It's also a lot smaller. It takes up a lot less space, and in fact, when I got the package, I thought that I only got the boots in, not the actual box. But no, I got the box too. You open it up, there's nothing super special or particular in there, just regular paper, and then these were kind of just the shoehorns, the cardboard shoehorns that went inside the boots themselves. So this is actually the boot right here. You can kind of see it's like a sleek, streamlined look, like we see a lot of speed boots. It almost reminds me of kind of the Crazy Fast or Speed Portal, kind of upper here, or kind of like ankle area, and then kind of looks more like an F50 or some sort of Vapor or Puma. So it looks like almost every brand kind of combined into one, which gives it a more unique look than most boots. Price-wise, these are gonna run you about 200 USD, 175 British pounds, 175 euros. Decently priced, I would say, for the product, for how durable they've been, for how well they actually hold up and feel overall. It's worth $200. I know football boots are expensive in general, but you know, at least they're not as much as Nike and Adidas are, and those fall apart in their crap for the most part. One thing I want to do more is weigh boots. It's a lot of the requests I've been getting in terms of my reviews. So these are at 182 grams, feel just about the same weight as any current speed boot. First thing I want to talk about is going to be the sole plate here. It is very, very aggressive. It reminds me similar to the Furon V7 Pros kind of chevrons. Obviously it's not shaped quite like that, but it's an aggressive sole plate. I wore them a little bit on turf, and besides these heating up to the point where I couldn't wear them because the ground was so hot, I didn't like how high I sat. It's very uncomfortable. So I moved over to a grass pitch, and let me tell you, the grass pitch felt so much better. These really dig in. I don't like using the term responsive because I really don't feel it quite gets across what is going on, but I would say in terms of directional change, planting, shooting, striking the ball, these boots do a good job at really staying into the turf, really providing you a surface to push off from. You know, they dig in well. So for an FG sole plate, I would say this is one of the better ones. It does have a little bit of bend here in the midfoot, but for the most part, it's pretty solid. So if you like a really stiff sole plate, you're really gonna like this boot. The only real downside to this sole plate is going to be it collects a lot of dirt and mud. I left it on here so you guys could see, but you know, I don't really like when boots do that. Sometimes it's not always preventable when it's wet out, when there's mud. It's just what's gonna happen. Even the anti-clog sole plates, I don't feel do a super good job. Also, this sole plate is made of 89% recycled castor beans. So far, no cracks, no blemishes, no damage to it, not even at the toe. So that's good. Upper for the Sokito Scudetto is called the BioTouch Vamp. material or toe box or something like that. Essentially, it is a synthetic leather. It feels very, very comfortable when striking a ball. This is one of my favorite features of the boot. A lot of people told me that I'm friends with who have worn this that it feels a lot like the F50 Adizero. And in fact, when I was just having a brief chat with the owner, he asked me what size I wore in these remakes here, the 2014 F50s. But he said they're gonna fit and feel a lot like the Adidas F50 Adizero 4s, I believe those are, 2014 ones. And I would say that's semi-accurate. The feel of it, definitely, those F50 remakes and just the old school F50s, those tongues and the upper just feels so good striking a ball, and that's exactly the same thing here with the Sokito Scudetta. I do really like that feeling. The kind of lacing structure as well is nice. I really have not been enjoying boots that don't have a floating tongue, even though with my wide feet, it pushes the tongue to either side of the boot, but I really enjoy just having a tongue, and it's cool that these boots have that again. The rest of the boot that doesn't have that BioTouch vamp is gonna be right around the start of the end of the toe box here, right around the sides. It's more of just a harder synthetic material, hasn't really scuffed at all, which is pretty nice. The heel as well is very, very malleable, very pliable. It has no real structure until you get to the bottom plastic heel cup that's down towards the bottom. And I really think going forward, this is my favorite way to structure a boot. Now, the 11 Pro 3 doesn't really have a lot of structure back there. My all-time favorite boot. I've been wearing the Adler Horenzo and Yatagarasu a lot. Doesn't have a lot of structure in the back heel, and I just enjoy that. There's no real grip element to this boot. There is some dotted lines and regular lines, but I didn't really feel like that was really adding anything. The logo also has some lining in it as well on the side of the boot here, but nothing that really felt to me like it's gripping the ball like any rubber element or grip knit would do. So size-wise was something I was unsure of. I'm always stuck between an 8.75 and a 9 is where I think I'm truly at. Some Nike 9s fit way too long, some Adidas 9s fit better. It really just depends. So I heard a lot of people say go half a size up. This is the first time where I wish I did. Width-wise, the boots were definitely okay. Probably could have been a little bit wider for me, but the main problem was the length. My toes just felt really scrunched up in the front there. I didn't feel like I could really stretch them out all the way. I did play a game where the ground was super waterlogged. It was pouring rain, puddles everywhere. The boots were definitely waterlogged, but that BioTouch vamp upper really allowed my feet to stretch and stretch forward fully. So that was cool, but really don't feel like I've been able to comfortably get my toes in there until this last week or so wearing the boot. Especially shooting the B-roll was a lot better. So half size up might work for you, your regular size might work for you. That's just what happened with me. Width-wide, definitely okay. They're speed boots, so it kind of is what it is. The upper does stretch to an extent. 9.5 probably would have been the best. That leads us into comfort, and besides my toes being really cramped, I enjoyed how comfortable this boot was. The heel padding was decent amount. I didn't get any real arch pain at all. No real pressure points. Definitely can feel that they're not quite as wide as I would like, but nothing compared to other boots I've worn in the past. And this BioTouch upper just feels so good striking a ball. So if I had a 9.5, I definitely think it would been even better. As for lockdown, I mentioned with the sole plate, it feels like it's a good platform to kind of push off of, you know, whenever you're making quick cuts. Planting didn't feel like my feet slipped around at all. They do include a runner's hole here to do like a runner's loop. It's down right there. I've never done that personally because my feet are so wide, it's hard for me I'd have to have some super long laces or really weird fit for a boot. So if that's something, you have really, really skinny feet, you'll be able to take care of that there. These laces are actually made up of 100% plastic bottles. So fully recyclable laces there. That's kind of cool. It's even got the Sokito logo on there. Durability. So far, after the last month, these have held together really, really well. Again, I was a little nervous being that it's just a kind of sustainable boot made of some biomaterials that they'll break down pretty quickly. But so far, no even real cosmetic scratches. I mean, I've been doing a lot of training and playing games in them, but I haven't gotten any like nicks or scratches or somebody like stepping on these boots. They haven't done anything. There's no sign of sole separation whatsoever, really anywhere, which is good because I feel like by now Adidas or Nike boots after a month would have that. It's just nice to know that a company is focusing on the things that I think other brands are really having a hard time with or don't care about. to be honest, they probably just don't care. And being that they're a sustainable football boot company, I imagine that the goal is to make their boots last as long as possible. They're really big on consumption. And in fact, they used to have a discount where you could send in a pair of your old destroyed boots and you get either X percentage or X amount of money off your pair. I believe they still have that. I just haven't checked in the last last month or so. But that's also pretty cool. So they're really big on recycling boots and you know, for what they're made of and for how they've performed, for how durable they are, I will say I am impressed. So the Scudetta has been around for just over a year, and I said earlier they were one of the most hyped boots over the last year, which I do still think is true, but maybe I should have said model or silo or just brand. They definitely deserve the hype, I believe. It's a new model. It's a newer company. They've been around for almost 3 years now, maybe just over 3 years, and they have come pretty far. I believe brands like Skechers, and back to the boot market as well, take time to really develop boots. Same with New Balance. I felt like the earlier models of New Balance were awful, and now they're probably one of the leading companies just in terms of overall quality and performance of their boots. And I think that Sokito, starting off with their second/third model, the Sokito Scudetta, this is really cool. And I'm gonna be interested to see where they grow, what they look to do, what direction they take, if they're gonna release more silos at the same time, or if they're just gonna be one boot brand at a time. So yeah, so that's all I have for you today on the Sokito Scudetta. If you guys have worn them, let me know what your thoughts are. If you're looking to get a pair, if you don't want to get them, whatever the reason may be, just drop a comment. I'll be more than happy to respond. If you like football boot reviews, videos, facts, anything like that, please make sure to check out the rest of the channel. And with that, I will see you in the next one.